Hello everybody and welcome to today's class. Today we want to discuss redox in terms of transfer of electrons. In the previous class, we defined redox reaction in terms of gains and loss of oxygen. We said oxidation is gain of oxygen and reduction is the loss of oxygen. We used the reaction between magnesium and oxygen as an example. In this reaction, magnesium gains oxygen, so magnesium is being oxidized, and the process is called oxidation. At the same time, oxygen is reduced, and the process is called reduction. If you look at what happens to the electrons in this reaction, we can use the knowledge we gain to define oxidation and reduction in terms of gain and loss of electrons. Magnesium is the element number 12 in the periodic table, so magnesium will have 12 electrons. And we can write the electronic configuration for magnesium as 2H2. This shows that magnesium has 3 electron shells, and the last shell is occupied by 2 electrons. Also, oxygen is the element number 8 in the periodic table. We can write the electronic configuration as 2,6. This shows that at the last shell, oxygen has only 6 electrons. So here I drew the electronic configuration of the last shell electrons for magnesium and oxygen. So we can see that there are 2 electrons at the last shell of magnesium, and there are 6 electrons at the last shell of oxygen. In order for magnesium to react with oxygen to form magnesium oxide, magnesium has to transfer these 2 electrons to oxygen. So it will look like this. So now we have magnesium oxide. Because magnesium has lost 2 electrons, in the formula of magnesium oxide, we indicate that here by putting +2, it means it has lost 2 electrons, and the 2 electrons gained by oxygen will be indicated on the diagram for oxygen ion as 2-. So this is the formula of magnesium oxide. Now, what happened to the electrons? Of course, we saw what happened to the electrons when magnesium reacted with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. We can see that magnesium transferred 2 electrons to oxygen. So this is going to be the basis of the definition of redox reaction in terms of electrons transfer. So remember, we said magnesium reacts with oxygen to give magnesium oxide, and that process is called oxidation. And so what makes magnesium to react with oxygen? Magnesium has to transfer 2 electrons. It has to transfer electron to oxygen in order for it to undergo oxidation, or in order for magnesium to be oxidized, it has to transfer 2 electrons to oxygen, or we can say it has to lose 2 electrons to oxygen. So we can link oxidation to losing of electrons. So we can say oxidation is loss of electrons. And at the same time, as we establish the first one here, it's going to be easy for us to conclude about reduction, because oxygen also gains electrons from magnesium in order to form magnesium oxide. So we can say reduction is gain of electrons. So we can see the link between the definitions now. Oxidation is gain of oxygen, but how did magnesium gain oxygen? It loses electrons to oxygen. So we can say oxidation is loss of electrons. And at the same time, oxygen gains electrons from magnesium. So, and then we said that process is reduction. So we can link it together and say reduction is gain of electrons. If you can remember oil rig, you can remember the definition. You can just say that oxidation is loss of electron. So that is oil, and reduction is gain of electrons, and that is rig.